Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ethan Bernard. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys a Masterwork Interceptor melee build for use in Grandmaster 1. Yes, I said Grandmaster 1 because this can be used in Grandmaster 2, but once you get past Grandmaster 1, when you go into Grandmaster 2 and 3, enemies have so much health that even with one of the best melee builds in the game like this one, it takes forever to kill them, and it's really not that fun. So I prefer to play the game in Grandmaster 1. You can play it in whatever difficulty you want to play it in, but this build in specifically is targeted towards Grandmaster 1, but will also do some hefty work in Grandmaster 2. Now I'm going to show you guys the essentials of the build, and I'm going to have a timestamp right here in front of my voice for whenever the actual gameplay starts. But if you want to know the specifics of the build and how I get everything to work, stay here for the next few minutes. I'm going to explain that all to you. Heading into the weapons, this is essential for this build in particular. Unending Battle is a Masterwork machine pistol with the perk Gladiator's Wrath. Hitting an enemy at point-blank range increases melee damage by 110% for 5 seconds, essentially over doubling our melee damage, and that is the heart and soul of this build, because honestly, without this pistol, melee just doesn't do a whole lot of damage and wouldn't be viable at all in Grandmaster. However, this build will still work. It would just take a lot longer to kill enemies. Now, moving on to the melee-specific components we have. A Way of Resolve. This is a Masterwork Interceptor component that gives dashing increases melee damage by 40% for 10 seconds on top of the default 10% melee damage. This brings our total up to 160% extra melee damage for base after we dash once and shoot an enemy, and it is just gets even crazier from there. Conductive Lattice is a Masterwork Interceptor component. Increases electricity damage, resistance, and gear cooldown speed, and performing a melee hit streak of 3 detonates an electric explosion. This is wild, okay? Because not only does this give us increased electricity damage, but when you do 3 melee hits in a row, which is like half a second with Interceptor, you get an explosion of electricity that does as much damage as nearly 3 hits in itself. This, again, almost gives us a huge damage boost, and every 3 hits, which, like I said, doesn't take very long, we're going to be getting almost an additional 3 hits of damage. So this ties in beautifully with what we're doing, and it all works together very well. Way of the Bold is a Masterwork Interceptor component. Defeating an enemy with a melee restores 20% armor. Essentially, when we get a melee kill, we get 20% health back, which in this mode can be super useful because in Grandmaster modes, enemies are very, very, very powerful, and you will die very quickly if you're not careful and you're not running away a lot, unfortunately, unless you have very, very good lifesteal stats. Way of the Swift is a Masterwork Interceptor component. This doesn't really tie into the melee side of things as much as it does the overall build. Any Q hit increases E damage by 50%. This means, in this case, if I hit someone with my primer, my detonator does a lot more damage. This is very good. This is very, very, very good. Vengeance Matrix increases all damage dealt by 50% and makes you take 25% more damage. Essentially, to do much in Grandmaster, like I said, you kind of need this. Like, it's not vital. You don't have to use it, but oh my god, it is just, if without all these damage mods, base weapons and base components in this game would not be able to do much in Grandmaster difficulties at all. So, to top it off, we have our assault system as Serpent's Veil. This is the Masterwork version of the Venom Bomb, and the perk Melee Weapon Defeats increase all acid damage by 100%. So in this case, since it's a legendary, we got a very good roll on it, plus 250% elemental damage, meaning that when we melee an enemy, we're getting a total of 350% extra toxin damage, making this almost 1,000 per tick, which does pretty decent damage. But on top of that even, hitting someone with Serpent's Veil will make our sudden death do 50% extra damage. Sudden death is the upgraded version of Tempest Strike. Hitting an enemy detonates a fiery explosion. Now, of course, if you guys have the epic or legendary variants of any of these, feel free to use them. The Masterwork perks are the only thing that are going to change if you have the epic version, but the overall build itself will be the same, act in the same way. Now, with Sudden Death, this roll, we actually have 150% physical damage, which means that this is going to do one hell of a punch. Okay, it's going to pack one hell of a punch when we get our Q thrown down, we hit him with the E, and it's going to do some damage. I'm going to hop us into some Grandmaster Freeplay, and I'll see you guys in a second. Alright guys, so we hopped into some Grandmaster 1 Freeplay here, and it looks like we just found the Scorpion Nest event, which means we're going to get some really good high amount of enemies to fight here with this melee build, just to kind of show you guys what it can do. Now, initially with this build, what you're going to want to do is shoot an enemy, dash forward, and start meleeing. You can see right off the bat, it makes Grandmaster 1 enemies almost look like a joke. But like I said, once you hop up to the Grandmaster 2 level, it doesn't really do enough damage to make it fun to use. You know, it takes like about 3 times the amount it takes here to kill an enemy with this build in Grandmaster 2, which, like I said, it isn't a huge issue, but I just really don't have that much fun doing it, which is why I prefer to show this build off in Grandmaster 1. Now, you can see here, all we're doing is shooting, dodging, and melee, okay? You alternatively, to get a little more out of this, you can dodge, melee, you know, you can dodge, shoot, melee. It all does kind of the same thing. As long as both Striker Savagery and Way of Resolve Strength are active, we know this build is doing the most it can when our melee is concerned. So you see there, Striker Savagery got deactivated, so we have to shoot someone again, and these electric explosions also kind of chain to nearby enemies. So you can see here, let's try our abilities out. If we throw down our grenade and we hop in and we do our E, it does a lot of damage, okay? And we can do our Q again here, and we'll do our E again. Look at that, over 30,000 damage in one hit. We aren't even using target beacon, we aren't even using a weapon. All we're doing here is throwing down our Q, tossing our E, and that melee hit from the Tempest Strike is doing a lot of damage. So if we shoot, like I said, you shoot, dash, and melee, you're doing tons of damage. It makes Grandmaster 1 very fun, and it's definitely viable in Grandmaster 2. So we're going to take out this other group here, throw down our Q, do our E, does lots of damage, dash in, just start getting those electric explosions every 3 hits. You can see those electric explosions do just as much damage or more as our melee hits, and they do chain to nearby enemies. They just have to be super close for that effect to go in. Hey, we just got a masterwork from this random little guy. How about that? So we're going to start doing some of the objective here, just to kind of show you how much damage this does. I think we can almost one-shot objectives. Yeah, we can do over half the objective's health in one single Tempest Strike using that ability, and it's pretty nuts. You know, we're getting the objective done quick. I wanted to kind of just have some enemies to kill to show this build to you guys. It gets pretty crazy. I'm going to try to re-roll a few of these pistols to see if I can get even more weapon damage or even more, you know, just something else to help out the melee build. I'm going to always keep trying to improve this build. I forgot to throw the Q down there. But if we throw the Q down... Ooh, these guys are dealing some damage to me. Throw the Q down. We do our E. I might die here. Ooh, no, we're good. We got the perk going that gives us that little bit of health whenever we defeat someone with a melee. We get 20% of that armor back, which is always a very nice thing to have. But you can see here, just honestly melting through all these enemies doesn't take a lot of effort. I'm just kind of rambling on at this point, having a good time. Those electric explosions add a really nice effect to it, and it is just honestly super fun to use. If we throw down our Q, we hit them with the E, everybody dies. And that's how this build, exactly how this build was meant to be played out. You can see here, normal melee attack with both active. If we dash into the enemy, we can see a normal melee attack does over almost 1,500 damage. And then once we get into these electric explosions, they're doing an additional 2,500, which is almost the power of 2 additional melee attacks. So it improves the overall efficiency. You know, you can get some crazy combos off here. When you have a bunch of enemies grouped together, you just start going at them with your E, spam your Tempest Strike, spam your gun, keep meleeing, and it just absolutely melts through enemies. The biggest threat here is kind of ranged enemies. If you have enemies who are constantly running away, kind of like the Dominion, it can get kind of annoying, but at the same time, you know, whatever, it still works on them. I'm not going to go search for them right now. I don't need to show this off to you. You guys can experience it for yourself and tell me what you guys think about it. Anyway, guys, if you guys enjoyed the video, let me know down in the comments below. If you have any other videos you want me to make or any guys you want to see, let me know. I'm doing this full time right now, so as long as you guys have something that you want to watch, I'm here to make it for you. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, you're still here? Yeah, me too. I love seeing this build just wreck shit. Anyway, guys, if you're still here, congratulations. Got to see a little bit of extra carnage, and you get to see what I opened from this chest. Give me a masterwork. Whole lot of nothing. Anyway, there you have it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Hey naysayers, how y'all been? It's been a minute, but I'm in it to win, and I ain't finished. This is the starting gun, and I'ma run it to the front until I'm #1, son. This is a rhythmic defibrillation, innovative, old school to thrill the nation. I've been patiently waiting and building steam, but I'm back.